Receive new military orders to Miami? Before you even think about packing, tune into today's Building Connections Doral Talks, where we dive into the realities of real estate market and uncover the truth that can save you from costly mistakes. I'm your host, Betty Gonzalez, your go-to real estate expert right here in Doral, Florida. Today, we'll start with the military-focused guide to relocating in Miami, covering everything from choosing the right neighborhoods based on your family's needs to navigating local school systems and optimizing your commute. Plus, we'll discuss the unique aspect of life near SOUTHCOM right here in Doral and the Air Force Base in Homestead. And if you're not in the military, this episode is still packed with essential tips and resources that all newcomers to Miami will find invaluable. Don't make the move without tuning in. Make the best choice for you and your family by getting the inside scoops right here, right now. So let us begin, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Okay, so the main thing once you come to Miami, and let's talk about what is Miami. Miami-Dade metro area is a huge area. So Miami of itself is not the big, right? But it consists of a lot of subdivisions and cities within the city that comprise the whole Miami-Dade County and metro area. And right here, we are right here in Doral, right? This is the city of Doral, which is where SOUTHCOM is located. But if whenever you receive your orders, it doesn't say Doral, it says Miami. So even if you are in a city that's called a different name other than Miami, even if you put Miami, you still get the mail. You still consider to be in Miami proper, right? Now, SOUTHCOM itself, it's in Doral. And then Homestead Air Force Base, if you are going to Homestead, is in the city of Homestead, but it's still considered Miami metro area. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to tell you so that you can kind of get an understanding and feeling. So if you hear Doral, you're not going to hear Doral per se as much as you're going to hear Miami. So when I say Miami or when I say Doral, take it interchangeably and the same thing as Homestead. Okay, so the first thing that I want to tell you is the lifestyle diversity that we have right here in South Florida, what we consider South Florida. We consider South Florida anywhere from West Palm Beach, even higher than that. But let's say West Palm Beach because that's an hour and a half from Miami. Fort Lauderdale, which is Broward County. West Palm Beach is Palm County. Broward County, which is a little bit north of Miami. And then we have Miami-Dade County, which is where SOUTHCOM and the Air Force Base, where they are, right? So now, why am I mentioning this? Because depending on where you decide to move, that's the lifestyle that you're going to experience. Also, not only do you have to know if you're going to be north of South Florida, the center, or if you're going to be more south of South Florida, you also have to consider if you want to move to the east side, to the East Coast, or if you want to move now more to the west side, the West Coast of South Florida, right? What do I mean by this? If you move right into Miami, let's say to the city of Miami, then you're going to be more closer to the East Coast. Some areas in Fort Lauderdale is more closer to the East Coast, and some of the cities are closer to the East Coast, like Hollywood. You might have heard that now that you're doing research trying to come to Miami because you receive orders, or you might be a civilian transferring to a job right here in Miami. But let's say you're in the military and you have a short notice of 6 months or 3 months, and you're going to find yourself right here in Miami pretty soon. So I want to give you an overview of the lifestyle and diversity. So if you are single or if you are married and you don't have kids, might be different than if you're a couple with kids or if you're just single. So let's start by that. Depending on your lifestyle, what do I mean by that? If you like to go to the beach, if you like to party, if you like social life, if you have nightlife, then you might want to be more on the east side of South Florida, more closer to South Beach, closer to Miami, closer to Fort Lauderdale area and Hollywood, right? So those neighborhoods and those areas right there is going to give you completely different experience living in Miami that if you were to move, let's say in Doral. Even though we do have a nightlife, which I'm going to mention, it's going to be a different experience. So who are the people that mostly move to Doral? let's say where I am. Well, families like to move to Doral because we have a really good school system in the area, and the schools are really good. Now, we also have 11 parks. We have activities for the families in the little downtown area. So it's a lot geared towards family, even though everybody lives here. Older people, older community, younger, working, young people live here, young professionals. We have a strong workforce right here in Doral as well. So if you are trying to move down further south where Homestead is, that's where you're going to have a more of a laid back living style. You still have a lot of families that move down there. Also, it's a little cheaper to live down there and you get more for your money. You get more backyard, you get more front, you get more property. However, if let's say you're going to live in Doral or you're going to work in Doral and you decide to purchase a property down south by Homestead where the Air Force Base is, then you are going to find a lot of time commuting. Not only you're going to spend a lot of time commuting, you're going to spend money on tolls. So whatever money that you think you're saving, you're going to spend it on time and tolls because it's going to be more gas or more tolls. So just take it with a grain of salt. Now, my recommendation, if you are going to move to the south down in Homestead, then I would say once you're there, listen to this, stay to the west portion of Homestead. Why is this? Because then you have different ways to commute back down to SOUTHCOM if you're going to end up working in SOUTHCOM. We have different back streets that would allow you to bypass the freeway and it would allow you to bypass the main roads. What is the name of this road? I don't remember this road right now, but it's all the way to the back and it's on the west side and you're able to commute through there and almost feel like you're on the freeway without having to pay tolls and without having to have so much traffic coming from the south right up here to SOUTHCOM where Doral is, Doral where SOUTHCOM is. I'm sorry. So if you are going to go to move and actually work in the Air Force Base, then if you live in SOUTHCOM or if you live in Doral, then the commute is easier because you're going to be going against traffic. Everybody that lives in the south, they're going to experience traffic coming back up because everybody comes to the city. But if you live right over here already in the city, then you're going to go against traffic. So that's going to give you more flexibility. Then let's say a lot of people coming to SOUTHCOM, they go to these websites or they go to these maybe social media sites. And a lot of people get advised to move to Broward. And these are the major cities that they mentioned. They mentioned Miramar. They mentioned Pembroke Pines. They mentioned David. And what's the other one? So let's say they mentioned those three. Okay, if you move there, you will have also a commute. It might be a shorter commute, but it's still going to be a commute. It could be anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes, depending on how deep you actually live in the community or how close you are to the freeways. Because remember, guys, if you live in South Florida, you're going to be commuting on the freeway and you're going to be paying those tolls because we don't have a robust public transportation. We don't have a robust train system and a robust bus line. So you will have to depend on driving, and a lot of the times you're going to be using the tolls, which costs a lot of money. So you have to account for the time and the money. Now, I don't recommend anyone that's coming to Miami, if they're going to work in SOUTHCOM, that's coming to SOUTHCOM, I don't recommend them to move anywhere else other than Doral. I'm sorry, I'm biased, but I recommend to stay in Doral because if you can enjoy Miami is a beautiful place as long as you're not stuck driving all day long, back and forth. You don't want to be stuck in traffic, commuting for an hour or two, one way every day. That's not a way to enjoy the city at all. So in my opinion, I recommend Doral. I have a caveat to that. If you are a person that does not tolerate listening to people speaking Spanish all the time, everywhere you go, then Doral might not be for you. It's just not. Because it's something like 85% of the population speaks Spanish and they speak Spanish. What does that mean? Does that mean that they only speak Spanish? No, most of the populations also speak English. But if you go to the supermarket, if you go to the gym, if you go to the car wash, if you go to a coffee shop, if you go shopping, if you go to TJ Maxx, if you go to the mall, if you go to buy, if you go anywhere, people might approach you speaking Spanish first. Yes, some people might not speak Spanish, but that doesn't mean that most people don't speak English. Some don't speak English. They only speak Spanish. So what do I mean? So if somebody approach you and they're speaking Spanish, assuming that you speak Spanish and you do not, all you need to do is tell them you don't speak Spanish and they automatically switch to speaking English. Or if they don't speak English, you right away will find out, right? But then someone else will be able to speak English. And that's what I mean. If you cannot stand that, or if you're not open to actually another culture, or the language just really bothers you too much, then I will then recommend you to not move to Doral. But if this is something that you are willing to embrace with open arms and immerse in the culture, because if you have been to other places in other close to a military base, I'm going to tell you this is nothing like it. If you've never been to Miami, especially to the heart of Miami, Doral, Hialeah, Little Havana, all of these places like the ones that I'm mentioning to you, then you're going to find it shocking how much Spanish is spoken in the daily basis in everything that you do. So just assume that you're going to a Hispanic speaking country. And if you come with that mindset and you are okay with it for the next 2 to 3 years, then you will be fine and Doral will be good for you. But if you do not want to emerge in the culture and you don't enjoy people speaking Spanish to you all the time, everywhere you go, then I will recommend and advise you to not move here. And that's what I believe a lot of people recommend: Pembroke Pines, Miramar, David, and Weston, some of those areas. Now, let me be clear. That does not mean that you're not going to encounter people speaking Spanish all the time. It's just going to be less frequent. And you're going to be having more people that speak English more first than Spanish. So that's my only caveat, which is a big one if this is something that you're not wanting or willing to tolerate. Now, who else needs to consider? So if you have small children, and let's say that you are a spouse that also end up working at the military base, this might be great for you to live in Doral or close to Doral. What do I mean close to Doral? There's adjacent cities that are really close to Doral, it's right outside of here. Is also Hialeah or Hialeah Gardens, which also is heavily Spanish-speaking communities. Miami Lakes, you have Fontainebleau. You have a few areas that are a little less costly that are closer to this area right here, to Doral, and closer to the commute to go to work in SOUTHCOM. But I highly advise if you have little children, because they have an area where they take care of your children right on the base. I think you have to, there's a wait period there. I don't know exactly how long because I don't have small children and I haven't experienced having to go through that. Now, my husband did work in SOUTHCOM as a civilian once we moved here. Even though I'm a retiree, I did not work there and I was not stationed there. The reason we decided to move to Doral is because when I joined the Army back in 1997, I joined from Miami. As a matter of fact, MEPS station is also right here in Doral. So if you're coming on orders to work at MEPS is in Doral, which is the main headquarters right here. It's in Doral. And I joined out of the MEPS right here in Doral. And I know how bad the traffic is. The traffic was bad then and it's still bad now. So we decided to move right here in Doral because we wanted to spend more time together than not together because of the commute. Right. So let me see. The average time driving from Homestead to Doral could be anywhere from 35 minutes to 55 minutes. Again, depending on how far you live and if you live more to the east side of Homestead rather than the west side of Homestead, because Doral is west side, is one of the most west section of South Florida. It's again, so for example, we're directly, if you go on a straight line from west to east, we're going to be 35 minutes to downtown Miami, right? And that's in the east side. And we're on the west side. So we're the last neighborhood on this end, on the west side of the South Florida in the Miami-Dade metro area. If that makes sense, hopefully I help you. So now let's talk about the schools, right? Let's consider the schools because that is the major thing. Everybody's so going gung-ho with the school. It's such a big deal. And I understand it because I have two kids. They're still school-age kids. I have a 13-year-old and I have a 16-year-old. And I'm going to explain to you both. One goes to a charter school and one doesn't. And it all depends on what the strength of your child is and what you feel comfortable with. Miami-Dade County, just so that you know, it is a school of choice school system. So even though you might have schools that belong to your neighborhood, if you don't feel comfortable sending your kids to one neighborhood or another, to one school or another, or because of the commute, because it's easier for you to, when you go to work, to drop them off and pick them up in a specific school, or because that school is specified in one program more than another one, then you could request to send your child there. Now, it's a big caveat there because they have to have enough opening for your kids to actually be accepted. But a lot of times, if you're in the military, they do a lot of exceptions. I know they did it for mine before when we used to live more down south. And my child was able to get in when he was younger. So that's my experience. And that's what I give you. So don't be so focused on, oh my God, we have great schools anywhere in South Florida. And then if the one that your child will belong to, just do your research. If you don't want to send them there, there's always another one. Like, for example, right outside of my house, there's a grade school and there's two grade schools, but my daughter didn't go to any of those. She decided to go to a charter school because at the time she was focusing in running and they're big in the athlete department. So she wanted to go there. So we requested and she was accepted. My son, on the other hand, he goes to the school that belongs to the area. He goes to the regular Ronald Reagan Doral high school, senior high school, and that's fine. And he's thriving there. He's taking AP classes, and that's fine for us. So depending on what your child needs and what's available and what you're willing or you would like your child to go, you can choose that. Now, let me move right along. Let me talk about the spouses that are coming, people that are coming with spouses. There's a big difference in if your spouse is younger versus an older, experienced military spouse. And why do I make this a thing? Well, because if you are a person bringing a younger spouse, and this is your first place that you're going to PCS to, or your second place, and that the younger military spouse are not familiar with how to deal with the post, what's available for them, and everything else, even though our base has a lot of resources, they're mostly online, it's very impersonal. We don't have a PX that's big. We have a small little PX per se, a shop ed. We don't have we don't have a hospital. We have a small clinic. We just don't have the facilities that we have in a big base, right here in SOUTHCOM. And even we do have a PX and a commissary down in the Air Force Base, but it's also small. And a lot of people don't go down there. They will not do the commute if they live up here. Unless they live close to the Air Force Base, they will not go to the Air Force Base to do mingling or do stuff. They do have a lot of activities and you have to be more in connection with the base. And if you want some of that, I will advise that you live closer to the base so that you could actually assist or go to the times that they do have activities. They have like trunk or treat. They have different stuff that they do for everybody that lives here, even for the retirees. But if you live further away, you're going to shy away from coming and actually participate. So if you're younger, in order for you to get more in the commute and you don't feel isolated, because even though this is a big city, if you don't know anybody, it could feel very lonely. So my advice is live closer to the base. They have a lot of parks. They have a lot of things that you could do in the area. Plus your spouse, you won't be alone for so long waiting on your spouse because of the commute and feel a little resentful. I'm sorry, maybe I'm saying too much, but this is what I've observed and what I believe is better. Now, again, remember, if you cannot stand people speaking Spanish to you the whole time, this is not the city for you. Now, if you're more of an established older spouse and you already know how the things work, how the system work, then maybe you could be further out because you understand how it works and you don't have any problem and you won't feel a problem commuting. It's up to you. But again, if you don't mind the culture, I'm always going to recommend for you to live here. And before you leave, I'm going to show you the BIH for Miami. And I'm also going to show you some of the rental areas, prices right here in Doral. So that you can see, because Doral is one of the most expensive cities, but the BIH that we have here easily accommodates you to be able to live here. So if you want more information about that, feel free to reach out and I'll give you more insight. But today I'm going to show you some of that. So let me see. Also, if you already already coming here. There's a few social media groups on Facebook that you can join. I'm going to tell you at the end of this later on about this. Now, let me see. So major things that I want to talk to about the Air Force Base. The Air Force Base is bigger. Like I mentioned, they have a commissary, so you could go there and do your groceries. They also have a small PX, and then you can go there. Like if you need uniforms and stuff, that's the best way. That's the best place to go to. We also have a huge VA hospital in downtown Miami. So that's a plus that we have that available to us. There's also a naval base closer to South Beach. I don't know the name of that base, but we do have one here. A Coast Guard, a big Coast Guard community. So we do have communities. What happened, it was very spread from each other. We're not close. We don't know where we live. So I highly suggest you go into the social media group so that you can find your tribe, if per se. SOUTHCOM, like I said, is very small. It's very petite. We don't have military quarters. We don't have barracks, and we don't have housing. However, we started to build a brand new housing right across SOUTHCOM, and out of any other military base that I know of from the Army, we have the best location that any base could ever wish for. We're right in the center of the city of Doral, where they open the biggest park, Doral Central Park, right across the base. And they are about to open the second phase with the water park, and it's right next to it. It's almost like, the base where they're building the military base housing is right next to it. It's like the best location. You're very close to downtown Doral, very close to City Place. This is the best located base that I know of, that in a city from the Army, that you are near anything major. You're close to the freeways. You're close to anything. I really do love. I could be a little biased, but I do love living right here in Doral, and I would recommend anybody that's coming to be stationed here to live here. They're gonna work here. Now, let me show you what I was talking about, the BAH and how much. Let me see. So this is Miami Fort Lauderdale BAH. Okay, so BAH is a basic allowance for housing. So let's get right here, which is Miami Fort Lauderdale area. So listen, in E1 with dependent, meaning you guys have a spouse, you have kids, is $3,288, and without is $2,500, right? That's the minimum, and that's for an E1. It goes the same all the way to E4. E1 to E4, same amount. E5 is $3,400 with dependents, and without dependent is $2,800. And E6 goes higher, a little bit higher, $3,600, and without is $3,100. And the officers start going a little higher. If you're in E9, it's $4,400 with dependents, and $3,500 without, right? So you get the gist. Now, let me show you. I pull up on Zillow, which you can do, a rental. I put 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms right here in Doral. You can find a 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for $2,500 a month. So even if you are a soldier that have no family, you can find a really nice place to rent right here in Doral and don't have to commute for hours. Look at this older one. This one is $2,600 a month. I believe it's really nice, and nothing in Doral is going to be more than 15 minutes. You could live as close as 5 minutes to the base. The base is around this area right here. And you have beautiful properties at a very well priced within your BAH. This is $2,800, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. This is something that you can rent right here to your work. So let me stop sharing that. So anyway, guys, this is some of the things that I believe are valuable for our community that are coming here that don't know anything about the area, remember that preparation is your best ally. So how do you connect with the local resources and the community groups? So this is what you need to do. Go to Facebook groups and type military families of South Florida. That's what you're going to type on that. And it should come up. Military families of South Florida. And the other one is Team SOUTHCOM. Team all capital, team, and then all capital SOUTHCOM. And Team SOUTHCOM stand for Total Engagement for All Members. So you'll be able to find it there. It is by invitation, and you have to have some sort of connection to the area. Either you are going to work here or your spouse is going to work here, and they're going to verify that. And or you're a retiree or you're a veteran. It doesn't matter for what branches. All branches are welcome. You can go there and you're going to have information there, or you can type information. I go there. Sometimes I give information. Sometimes I don't, because disclaimer, I'm a real estate agent in the area. And sometimes I think it's a bad taste to post on those signs because people don't see it as genuine. But anyway, but I do know some of the questions that come up there. And that's why I'm doing videos like this, answering some of those questions. Now, if I didn't answer the questions that you personally have, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And then after I gather enough people having the same questions over and over, then I will feel free to do a video answering to everybody. But in the meantime, I will answer your question once you send it to me personally, or you can DM me. Now, for more resources and continuous updates, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Doral Homes by Betty Gonzalez. If you have any questions or need personalized advice, reach out directly or leave a comment, like I said below. We are here to help make your move as seamless as possible. Again, guys, thank you for joining on Building Connections Doral Talks. Whether you're moving here on military orders or seeking new opportunities in Miami, we are excited to welcome you to this vibrant community. Stay connected, stay informed. We are looking forward to helping you build a new life right here in Miami. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day and have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye. Real quick, calling all Doral professionals, entrepreneurs, and community influencers. Are you ready to showcase your business, share your knowledge and experience with our engaged audience? Building Connections Doral Talks invites you to become a guest speaker on our podcast. Share your unique perspectives and inspiring stories with our listeners. We believe in the power of your voice in shaping that conversations right here in Doral. Click the link below to submit your information and be part of our next episode. Join us in building connections, sharing knowledge, and growing together. Don't miss this opportunity to be a featured guest on Building Connections Doral Talks. Tune in, connect, share, and grow together with Building Connections Doral Talks, reshaping the way we engage with the diverse voices of Doral, one guest at a time. Doral Talks, your voice, our community. Click the link now on the show notes, the screen, or in the comments below, or just scan the QR code to submit your information as a guest. I hope to see you soon. See you in the next podcast. Bye.